SDG progress. When I first saw the announcement that this conference was going to take place, I thought, what can I possibly do to make a presentation for it? One of the first considerations was about the SDGs. Now, one of the things that I sort of feel about the SDGs, they're very definitely aspirational. I mean, the idea of ending all hunger for everyone in all parts of the world, that's a wonderful thing, but it's very aspirational. Being a business professor and someone that I consider myself very pragmatic, I'm much more into the targets. They are much more concrete and much more specific. So I will be talking about some of the more objective things rather than the more abstract ideas. And one of the other things I found that the word accelerate just jumped out at me when I saw that. And I looked in the dictionary to see how many different definitions there were of the word accelerate, and there were several different ones. But the one that I found was appropriate for this conference was to bring about earlier. What we want to do is bring about accomplishments and progress earlier. It's a time dimension. Now, one of the things when we're talking about time, sometimes you can move too quickly. That's referred to as radical transformation or revolution. But sometimes that produces nothing but chaos and there are unintended consequences. On the other hand, if you don't have something moving it forward behind it, it's just let nature take its course, you may never achieve progress towards them. So I looked at accelerate as I treat as Aristotle's golden mean, the golden mean between revolution and evolution. Now, when we look at universities, one of the things we find about universities, the earliest history of universities were to educate religious leaders. As a matter of fact, the first one I could find was to educate mullahs in the Islamic religion. And it was also, the Greeks wanted to educate people to be good citizens. It wasn't until the turn of the 19th and 20th century that research became a co-focus with universities. And training in the professions and careers didn't come around until the turn of the 20th century. It was only in the 20th century that professions and career development became part of a university's mission. And it was even much later yet that societal concerns became more prominent focus of the universities. And one of the things that you look at here is how can we accelerate progress towards them? One way I said, you can get more people doing the things that are relevant, more people doing the salient things that will lead to progress. The other way is to get people who are already engaged to do more and different things. That's sort of I figured out that that was about the only two ways you could do it. More people doing lots of things or lots of individuals doing more of what you're talking about. In universities, most of the early initiatives were faculty-led initiatives. And social and environmental concerns were integrated into courses and faculty research. For example, at my university in the early 1990s, I developed and created a course called Business Environments, which focused on the natural environment, the economic, social, culture environment in which businesses operated. I am pleased to say this course, 30 years later, is still being offered by my university. Of course, different people are teaching it. They've tweaked it. They've changed it to be relevant to today's environment because the environment in 1990 is not the same that you have in 2024. And it wasn't until the 2000s that I really began integrating social and environmental topics in my marketing courses. In the early 2000s, I presented a course at the World Marketing Congress called Greening of Marketing Education, the idea of how we could integrate social issues into all of our marketing courses. And it wasn't until even later that I started really doing research in the area of sustainability and more concentrated writing. And I must say, this is the period of time when I joined WASIT. Now, many other faculty members at my university and universities around the world were following the same track I was. They sort of started developing research projects and courses related to sustainability. But one of the real issues with faculty-led initiatives is there's usually a time lag gap. For example, when I teach undergraduates, I know it's going to be several years before they're in a position to really impact much in their organizations. And there is a time lag gap between learning and doing. Research has said that most of your students over the summer only remember about 10 to 15% of what you taught them in the semester. So I'm really concerned how much learning is being retained. And so while most of us teach about it, we realize there's going to be this time lag. And also in our research, I make many recommendations, but it's going to usually take others to implement it. That's also going to have a time lag. I do the research, I make recommendations, and there's a time lag gap. Now, how can we, what are the options for accelerating? One is we can try to find ways to reduce that time lag between learning and doing. But another way is to recognize that most universities have many what I call doer departments. Doer departments are facility services, landscaping, buildings and grounds, all of those departments that are on campus, food services, student housing, that actually have the opportunity to make decisions that can impact sustainability almost overnight. They can act very quickly. So how can we engage the doers of the university into the relevant sustainability efforts? Because if we work together, the faculty and the doer departments, we can definitely achieve progress. But the challenge, at least I have found, is the need to break down barriers between units of a university. Most universities have common what I call faculty-centric thinking. We think we run the university as a faculty member, don't you? If you're a faculty member, of course. Everybody else is there just to support your great efforts that you're doing. Many times we have little understanding or knowledge of what all these other units are doing and how they really are essential to the operation and the progress of the university. This became very apparent to me in 2004 when I was privileged to serve on a new president, Dr. Karen Haynes' transition team. The transition team for her was composed of individuals from all sorts of units across campus and also some of our stakeholder organizations. And in some of the meetings, it became very apparent that the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. We had no idea what buildings and ground was doing. We didn't really understand food services, how it operated. We didn't understand things about student housing. We didn't even understand technology. Is the idea how they decide what to buy and the technology, the infrastructure. We didn't really know very much about it. The new president, Dr. Haynes, decided something had to be done, so we started having a better understanding of how the university really worked. She instituted a program called Campus Connect in 2004. 30 employees and members of the university community, these were from all different units on campus, were invited to participate in a 9-month-long program where they met on a very regular basis, learning about the different departments of the university and the different units to learn what everybody else was doing, to understand. So they understood that we are all interconnected and interdependent, and maybe there are ways that we can possibly work together. She instituted this program in 2004. I am pleased to say the 21st year class will be starting this program this fall. This means we have educated over 600 people in this program called Campus Connect. When they graduate from this program, they are designated as ambassadors of the program, and they give workshops, they do all sorts of things for the campus community, and new faculty orientations always include something from Campus Connect ambassadors of how the university as a whole works together. And our first sustainability efforts came as a result of this. Our first sustainability campus-wide effort was a reduce, reuse, recycle program, which was started by a member of the Facility Services Department. There were posters all over campus about it. Everybody was expected to how to reduce use of not just paper and cardboard, but food and a variety of all these things on campus. Could we reduce, could we reduce? How could we recycle? And this is one of the things we did with our computer recycling program. And the library was very much involved, is how they could do with books that were out of date. And we really had a wonderful time. And this was our first sustainability award. We won the nation's Recyclomania Award in our first year. This was the first of many sustainability awards that we received. I wanted to show you the composition. This was in 2018, the advisory committee to our sustainability efforts. And the reason why I wanted to show this chart, there were only 6 faculty members out of an advisory committee that was composed of over 30 people. All units of the university were represented, as you see, dining services and all the others. We did have faculty, but they are the ones who wrote our sustainability master plan. If you go to our website, I didn't know there'd be internet connection here, so I didn't pull that up. Our sustainability master plan was written in 2018 by this very diverse committee. And we also on our camp, this is just from our campus website where you see its sustainability master plan. And one of the things in the sustainability master plan is the advisory committee were all knowledgeable of the 17 SDGs. And what they did was, in this developing the master plan, was they took the 17 SDGs, and for each one, the committee tried to figure out which units of the university could perhaps work on progress towards this goal, and how would that work in the overall things, such as with the SDG 1. We developed a food pantry for our students who sometimes are concerned whether they have enough food to eat. And we also now on our campus have vegetable gardens. Yes, overseen by botany and faculty members, but students run them. They learn how to grow fruits and vegetables. And this is even part of in our food pantry. This is just one way that we have done this. Now, I know you can't see this. And of course, if I had a whole day, I could go over all the different things we're doing. But the committee took it and they said, now, how can we do this and integrate it to make sense? They developed 4 campus initiatives. The first one dealt with operational goals. The second one was about the culture. The third one was our traditional teaching, research, and service. And the fourth goal or initiative was sustainability, leadership, and administration. When we talk about operational goals, I wanted to show you, we aren't just talking about a few. We're talking about zero waste, energy and climate resiliency, transportation, water reclamation, water recycling, green buildings. I'm pleased to say 5 of our buildings received the LEEDs Awards, which in the US is for energy efficient buildings. So therefore, our buildings go along that way, and our food and dining services. These all had operational goals to achieve. By the way, there was a question at the end of the last session, and we received a gold award for our tracking and reporting on our progress towards our initiatives and sustainability goals. Our university has received a gold award for that. When we talk about inclusive and excellence, I wanted to point out we do have DEI, diversity, inclusiveness, but we emphasize excellence. Excellence is above all. We don't just want to have a diverse group of people. We want to make sure that they receive the excellence in education. How many? 30 seconds. Oh, okay. 2022. We were named the #1 university in the US for social mobility. Our students went up. And so therefore, one of the things we find, I was going to end with the action of leadership, because none of this could have been possible without leadership at all levels. And our goal here is to make sure that sustainability is included in all decision-making and communication at the university. And this is our learning and doing. At CSMU, we are striving to integrate sustainability themes and concepts into all our curriculum and all our decision-making process. And we are actively conserving energy, water, and waste. And we're seeking ultimately to make it part of our DNA to develop a culture of sustainability for all students, staff, and faculty. And I really thank you. I don't think that everybody could do what we did, but maybe some of the things we're doing will give you some ideas that at your university could adopt and do it. I'm really pleased because I think we have achieved over something like 25 different awards for sustainability since we started our efforts since then. Thank you.